corporate America is a joke, as it says. We already know that, but hey, I just quit my job. Let's hear what Paulie Walnuts has to say.
All right, guys. So I just quit my corporate job. I've been there for 3 years, and I have zero backup
I don't know why we're watching this, but it's fun.
plan. So I, for
Let's
some
just listen.
background, worked for a tech company in New York City, and I honestly never liked what I did. Basically, staring at data and optimizing it all day, right? So staring at a spreadsheet until it was literally burned into my retinas at night. And yesterday, I left the office to never come back. So
Nice.
you might be asking, why would you quit your job, especially with no backup plan, right? Because everyone always says, don't quit your job if you don't have another one lined up. And I know the economy, the job market right now is definitely not great, but, let's talk about it. So, long story short, a couple months ago, a big mistake was made on one of my accounts, and they tried to pin it on me. I'm a lower on the totem pole. They tried to put the whole thing on me.
Annoying.
And that didn't sit right with me because I had nothing to do with the mistake. It wasn't my mistake. So I stood up for myself. I decided I wasn't going to let these fake corporate people step on me for their mistake.
Good
So I
job.
defended myself, fired shots back, basically said it's your fault, not mine, right? And then after nearly 3 years of nothing but positive feedback, my new manager, who's the one that pinned this entire thing on me, all of a sudden had tons of negative feedback for me in the 2-week period following this mistake that she made, right? And she said I needed to turn things around. I'm not fulfilling the requirements of my role, and if I didn't, they would put me on a PIP, which is Performance Improvement Plan. It's basically corporate nonsense that is saying you're going to get fired, but we're going to do this before we fire you so we can protect ourselves. So one thing about
I think a lot of people will instantly see something like this and think, oh man, you can't just quit your job, or someone's complaining perhaps, or, you just got to toughen up. This is what it is. It is what it is. I hate that term. It is what it is. But here I see someone that's going through something that breaks their integrity and breaks their sense of themselves in some sense, or what they stand for. And so kudos to this guy for standing up for himself and just not taking the bullshit, honestly. I think it's absolutely nonsense that we should cover for another person like this when the person is just nowhere near being able to take accountability for themselves. There are times, if you're real close and you really have covered for each other over time, it makes sense. So it's okay, it's our fault. All right, fine. But this is just a blatant example of just someone who's in a job, as in his boss, right? That just is so afraid of losing their job or looking bad, that they're willing to let someone else have a bad time instead of them when it's 100% their fault. I'll be honest to say, people like that are some of the worst people in society. Doesn't mean they can't change, but they're scum. If they're willing to do that to you, they have a sense of hierarchy where you're just less important. And I don't believe anyone like that should be allowed to think like that. Well, no, they're allowed to think like that, but they shouldn't. They should be bullied for thinking like that. It's terrible. No one is below you and no one is above you. So kudos to him, honestly.
about me is, I'm by no means the smartest, but I am a hard worker, and I always have been. And
Oh, and one more thing. A lot of people will say, oh, you've never been in a normal job. You can't say that. You can't do that without getting consequences. I'm like, you're an idiot. I've had regular ass jobs, okay? I've done regular things. But I tend to find, over time, places where I can respect them and I'll get respected in return. They exist.
here I'm being told I'm not working hard enough. So, for the last month or so at my job, I reached new levels of try hard, right? I'm working 12-hour days every single day, just being super extra with everything that I do, like going the extra mile, really just basically making it so she can't say I'm not doing
I wonder if he was getting overtime. It would be another disgrace if he wasn't even getting overtime pay.
my job. So then, a couple weeks ago, I got a call from my manager, and she puts me on the performance improvement plan anyway, despite the hard work, despite everything, right? So this is typical corporate nonsense.
Yeah, it's
and
bullshit.
what I learned about this corporate world, at my time in it so far, is it doesn't actually matter how hard you work in the corporate hellscape, right? Your input is genuinely irrelevant at most of these tech jobs, especially. Like, there's people that work their ass off and they'll put everything into their work, and they'll end up getting the same treatment as the people that are literally doing nothing, just coasting, maybe doing the bare minimum. And
Well, why do we hear about quiet quitting, man? Of course. Type of shit like this.
if your manager doesn't like you at these jobs, you're really cooked, by the way. I've had managers who love me, and it makes such a difference. Like, there's times where I was like, wow, this job's so easy, and I'm still getting great feedback, and then you get a new manager, and boom, you're cooked. So, and before anyone asks, a lot of people are like, why didn't you go to HR? Like, this sounds like an HR situation, sounds not fair. Here's another thing that I learned, right? HR is a total joke.
They don't work
They're
for you,
solely
man.
there to protect the company. They have zero interest in protecting you. So, I went to them. They did not help at all.
I'm sure there's one or two good HR people out there for sure. I'm sure there are, and they actually care that you can get ahead and things like this. But yes, he's absolutely right. HR is not there for you, essentially.
The HR lady was, a remote worker who, I'm not going to say anything, but she had cats running all over in the background, and that should kind of tell you the vibes.
The vibes.
I have nothing against cats, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And, she's just telling me how they want me to succeed, and, they wouldn't have fired me if they didn't want, or they would have fired me if they wanted me fired. They want to see me succeed, which is total, bullshit. So, I have my PIP meeting, my PIP meeting, and I'm just hearing all this legit nonsense. And all these things that I need to do to keep my job, and how much they care about me, and it might not feel like it, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the meeting, I was just like, yeah, I quit. Like, this is ridiculous.
Nice.
All I can do is, show up and work hard. That's all I've been doing my whole time at this company. So I quit. I wasn't going to let them juice every last ounce of work out of me before firing me anyway. I ended it on my own terms. And every boomer that I know, including my own parents, mind you, told me that this was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Right? Quitting with no backup plan is irresponsible. Sometimes you got to just, stick through it. But I feel like if there's anything I've learned, it's you got to do what feels right sometimes.
Yeah. I believe if you're able to keep your integrity, that feels better than keeping a dumb fucking job like this.
You feel it in your gut, and you got to follow your gut, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just quit, guys. I'm gonna go travel for a little bit, going to Italy, Europe, things like that.
Sounds
I figured
great.
I'm only getting older, right? So luckily, I've been able to save a ton of money up. I took the sacrifice of living at home for a couple of years, so it's not like I had bills to pay. Was saving a lot of money this entire time that I've been.
Yeah, sacrifice? Living at home is great. No, I'm joking. It's great. Family is great, but I know having your own place is great too.
And, also not going to lie, a big part of this was like crypto, right? And I can make a separate video, but I basically made my salary in crypto in the past couple months alone. So
that's the thing about crypto, which I find is hilarious. I think a lot of people come into crypto and they're like, whoa, I'm seeing numbers flash on the screen that I don't even see the entire year at my job. And then you're supposed to go back, like when you see that, you're supposed to go back to the office and work for whatever $20 an hour or whatever the heck he was making. I'm gonna show you something. This is gonna blow your mind. Or was it the other way around? Sorry. This website is showing you, I think it's all the futures trades coming through. Just look. This is 134,000, okay? 100,000, 115,000. It's got to load. Bitcoin just got messed up, I'll tell you that. But anyways, just look at the amount of money that goes through often, and it's relatively slow right now. Okay, there you go. Thank you for showing me the demonstration. And sometimes it'll just flip through that, especially through liquidation moments when you're taking lows like this. And it's just, you look at these numbers, right? And you're like, oh, okay, someone just spent or whatever 87,000 in a second, and you're going to your office to make $20 in an hour. Look at all this money just flowing through, and you think about that, and you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense to go back and make 4,000 in a month, 5,000. It's really difficult. So I totally get him on this point.
I'm sitting here getting shit on by these people that think that...
Or at least then going to work must be something you enjoy. Because if you enjoy it, the money isn't the biggest part, and it's okay to make a bit less. But when you're not enjoying it, and it's low or relatively low pay, and then you see $1 million get spammed in a second on aggregate trade, you're like, I just don't get it. These things don't connect. It feels like a complete injustice.
Because they have a little bit of power, they can just treat me like shit. And I'm like refreshing my crypto wallet, seeing like this crazy number, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm not gonna do this. I don't care if it might be irresponsible. Like for now, I'm out of here, and I'll figure it out. I know I will, but this is not for me, clearly, right? So I feel like with my channel, I don't want to make it seem like I have it all figured out, because I don't, right? I'm still relatively young. I've definitely learned a ton of shit, but if this is any indicator, I'm still learning every single day, right? So I definitely don't want to come off as someone speaking from a higher ground, right? I'm right here in the trenches right now, but I'm enjoying every moment of it,
God
right?
Damn. And he's buying shit coins.
And before you make a decision like this, if you're miserable at your job, I would say like you don't want to completely burn any bridges. Like
100%.
I really wanted to just say fuck you guys and just move on. But I went to people that I had positive experience with. I got reference letters and things like that. So hopefully that will carry on if I need in the future. But the moral of the story here is there's no loyalty in corporate America, right? There's no human emotion. It's all fake. And to be honest, with AI, I'm not sure half of these jobs will be around much longer. Like so many of these people are genuinely getting paid for nothing. Like they're doing nothing all day
it's
and
definitely
pretending to work.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge chunk of corporate America, right? And I could have stayed, collected a few more paychecks while they shit on me some more. But I stood up for myself. I quit. I ended it on my own terms. And when I did it, I wasn't sure it was the right move. It was just what my gut told me. But now, this huge weight is off my shoulder, right? I'm still young. I have money saved up, and I hated what I was doing, right? We spend so much time at work that if you really dread your job, you're going to end up dreading your life, right? So I just said, enough is enough, and I quit. So, yeah. I will, say, like, I do live in New York City, so there are a ton of jobs available as opposed to other places. It's still a rough job economy. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's definitely a bad time to not have a job. But I do have, friends and connections where I can switch to another industry. I really don't think I'll go back into tech. But I just, I'm grateful that I have the chance to stop doing something that I dread. And I have a little bit of time, and luckily I made some sacrifices and some smart investments where I can actually focus on myself for a little bit, and that's what I'm gonna do. So, even these YouTube videos, it's like therapy for me, just talking to like you guys. I don't know, it's weird, but
I definitely think that, especially now he's commenting on YouTube, society is probably gonna find a way to gather around each other a bit more. A lot of people are just tired of this game, this bullshit game. It used to be held up on the fact that you could actually make some money, and it would make sense. But with the internet and everyone is sharing their stories, we're able to gather around a certain idea that, hey, this might just not, this might not be worth it. This whole stupid game, this whole facade of going through life with all these dumb terms that are brought up in corporate. And you can take corporate and apply it to many other industries and many other types of things. It's not just corporate. It's getting tiring upholding this idea that you got to be a certain person just to get ahead. And I don't think it's right anyways. So for me to potentially see it break down or quiet quitting, things like this, I support it. I support things like quiet quitting. If I mean, obviously not if your business is doing you well, then quiet quitting is a bit weird. But the ones who do it in companies like this, for example, I'm just like, yeah, quit or quiet quit. Either way. And in my opinion, quitting would, this is difficult to say because people need money and you need to survive and they have a lot of things they need to take care of, kids, whatever, home. If you can quit and if you think you'll be fine in the future, sometimes businesses like this don't deserve you. It's a high and mighty thing to say, but if we don't punish, in some sense, punish bad behavior, it just continues. And I think we, as individuals, sometimes ask, what can I do? I'm just one person. I can't do anything. I can't change anything. Every decision you take in your life that aligns with your integrity and is one of moral basis is one that will actually improve the world.
Like, this is something I enjoy doing. After years of doing something you hate, you start to realize, especially early on in your career, what you hate and what you enjoy. And, that's why I'm still grateful for this shitty job that I had for all these years.
Yeah.
Even though I hated it, I now know what I'm not going to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I now know how to navigate this corporate world that we're subject to. So yeah, guys, I don't want to encourage anyone to quit their job. Even, I will say, like, there was times I wanted to quit emotionally. Things were not going well, but I didn't quit, I stuck with it. This wasn't really as much as an emotional decision. It was more of I got to get out of here before they can my ass anyway. But I want to end this by saying, if you're in a similar situation where, you may have a manager treating you terribly and it's just not fair, don't let it get to you, right? Because past couple months, like, I would work my ass off every day. And when you're doing that and no one's giving you even a thank you or a, good job on working so hard on this, it really gets to you and you start to question the value of your work. And I really was at that point. And it'll mess up with your confidence and everything, right? So
yeah. It's also a different thing age-wise, right? So if you're young into the market, these things can really get to you. Because you come in there and suddenly someone's shitting on you, or they're like, you're not working hard enough, or whatever, and you don't have anything to compare it to. You don't know, like, okay, am I actually really bad? Am I working really, like, am I producing really slowly or producing too little? And eventually you start learning, like, hey, that guy was just a dick. And even if you were producing less, no one should come up to you in these ways. They can take you into a meeting and say, hey, how you doing? Look, what's going on in your life? We're trying to increase the output a bit. I was wondering if there's some way we can help you, right? This sounds like a utopia, right? But these things do happen. You might not know, but they do happen. It's not always in the best interest. Okay, so this is the thing. The US, they will just replace you or replace a thing or a person when it's not working anymore, like that. And there are other countries where the loyalty or the connection between an employer and an employee is actually a bit more, I guess, sacred or some sense. It's a stupid word for it, but where the more you can work on it, the more loyalty you can have, the more you can expect the person to actually want to care about the business. Like, think about it. If you're some venture capitalist firm and you come into the market and you have like 10,000 employees all of a sudden, and more than half of them actually don't give a shit about your company or don't even care because they have bad managers, there's probably some studies on this, but the economic damage to your company through that is probably horrendous. I'd like to be corrected on it if I'm wrong, but it's things that are not measured, you know, and these connections between people are so important. It makes people want to go to work or want to be there and see other people and produce. Everyone wants some form of purpose. They want to be able to contribute is a better word.
I ended up going to people that I had worked with in the past and being like, you know, that just, was I this bad of a worker? And they were like, no, you're a hardworking dude. And I knew that. I've always known that about myself, but it's like I started to question it because this manager who was, you know, making excuses for her own mistakes had me feeling that way. So yeah, guys, that's it for me. I think I'm gonna make a video on how I was able to you know basically create my salary just by investing and some sacrifices that I made early on that gave me this opportunity, because the truth is if I didn't do those things, then I wouldn't be able to quit. I'd have to just get shit on and let them continue to treat me terribly. So
yeah, I don't know his story, so I don't want to comment, but like, well, why couldn't he have just moved to another job which might have treated him better, perhaps? I don't know his story, so it's just like a really shallow comment. But I don't think you need to necessarily have to stay somewhere and give in to that shit. Maybe for a bit until you find something else. But again, I truly believe that people should stand up for themselves a bit more often. And in a way that's not so violent or aggressive, just know, okay, this person can't get at me. You know, yeah. It's super difficult. I'm asking for a lot, but hey, let's hear if you have something else.
All right, guys, appreciate you watching, especially if you made it this far. Please
Thank
like
you.
and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Oh, he's first. Thank you, good sir. This is Paulie Walnuts. Let's see. I love this YouTube genre where some guy talks about his life with old cool game footage. Yes. It's insane how nostalgic. Oh my god. Let's see. Everyone's just talking about the freaking thing. Hey man, don't worry about not having a job lined up. I did the exact same thing. Then I got hired to my dream job. It wasn't easy, but keep your head up. Focus on expanding your skill set, refining your current skills, and find a passion. If you find something you love doing, something that if you don't do it, it'll drive you clean out of your mind, you won't work another day in your life. That's true. That's true. I don't know. Sometimes I think this is rare. And most of the times, people think of something they'd want to do, even if they weren't paid, as something totally extravagant. I believe that a lot of things you can do, even basic things, are good if you find value in doing it and are rewarded for it as well. It's a mindset thing as well. Huh? You got to change your mindset. Can't be paid $1 million as a garbage man, for example, or whatever it might be. Same happened to me. 10-year corporate career, new manager. Blame me for not being able to renew an account that was unsalvageable. Oh my God, put me on a pip. I quit, traveled, never looked back. Build your own business, dude. You got this. This is especially, I imagine these are very US comments, right? In the US, there are so many options to get a job. People don't believe that. But that's because everyone has been funneled through university with the same damn degree to do the same damn things. And then there's also jobs that pay too little. I get it. Okay, maybe it's not that easy. I take it back. But there are opportunities, let me put it that way. And if you work a little hard to find it, or get the same opportunity you have just with a better team, you're going to feel a hell of a lot better. And also, leaving and traveling for a bit, great idea. You come back with a new mindset on the world because you've seen it different somewhere else. And I don't mean travel for 2 weeks. I mean a bit longer. For anyone that's around 25 or 20, look into working holidays in places like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. You can go for a year, you work as well, and it's really, really, really easy to get. You pay like a small fee. And by small fee, I mean, as far as I remember, it's like under $100. I don't even remember anymore. But It's nothing. And you get to experience an entire year in another continent. Well, that is if you're from the US. To learn how they work, to learn how they think, potentially even find someone you love there, build a life there. You don't know. Your whole life changes. When you're young, man, don't go into fucking corporate for your entire life and realize that you never even got to see the world or travel anywhere. Come on. It's your life, man. Don't try to live in that box that's so created for all of us. Go. You can still make your money while you're working in another country. Take the chance. Hey, good luck, Paulie. And I'm happy you got some shit coins that are making you money. I'm just kidding.